Catherine here from YogaNaraska. This is our very first video and I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. You might be wondering why my yoga studio is called YogaNaraska. That is because I live in the YogaNaraska region of Ontario, Canada. It's beautiful here. There's lots of forests around and places to explore. And I just thought it would be a good name, Yoga in Naraska, YogaNaraska. If you're curious about me, my name is Catherine. I've been practicing yoga for probably about 10 years or so, and recently completed my 200-hour yoga teacher training, as well as an additional training in Yoga Nidra, which is the word for yogic sleep. I have a degree in environmental science from Trent University, and I do have lots of teaching experience in other contexts. I've been a swim instructor, a ski instructor, a soccer coach. I've taught in many capacities, so teaching is not new for me, but teaching yoga is. Yoga is also not new for me, but we're doing our best here, and it's a learning journey for me and for you, and I'm just so happy to be here to help you through it. If you're totally new to yoga, welcome. I hope that you enjoy your time here. Come into it with a beginner's mind and an open mind and open heart, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy yourself. We'll begin in a seated position, doing some meditation and breathing exercises. In the middle of the class, we'll work on some of the basic poses. And towards the end of the class, we'll do Savasana, which is a lying down position where we do some relaxation. So many people say that it's their favorite part of the class, where you get to just relax in the bliss of your experience. We'll be going through some of the basic poses. I'm hoping that this will be as beginner friendly as possible, but if you do find that you're having any issues with the poses, please let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best in my Instagram stories to put up some modifications for any of the poses that we're working on, because I do really want to help you grow in your yoga practice. My goal at YogaNaraska is to create a safe space for you to come and to explore your mind, your body, your emotions, just anything that's going on a deeper level with you on the mat. And honestly, the hardest part is getting to the mat. So I'm here to provide that accountability for you to show up for yourself, show up to hang out with me, and really just reap all the benefits of yoga. There's so many great benefits of yoga that are beyond the physical body. There's so many other things that yoga can do for you, and has really helped me with. I have struggled with anxiety and depression due to a chronic illness that I have, and yoga has been absolutely instrumental in helping me cope with those issues. So I really know that yoga has so much to offer you, and I really hope that we can explore those things together. Some things you might need for this practice are a yoga mat. Not totally necessary, but the non-slip grip will be really helpful for you to get into the poses without hurting yourself, which we definitely don't want. You'll also need a water bottle, hydration. Got to stay hydrated during our practice. This is a little bit of exercise. You'll also need a secondary device. So if you're watching this on a laptop or something, you could use your phone or a secondary speaker or a tablet or something like that. And that's what we'll be playing our playlist on. So I have a Spotify playlist made up that'll be totally synced up with this practice. I'll leave the description or a link to the playlist in the description. And when I mention at some point in this video to hit play on the playlist, we'll hit it at the same time. I'll be listening to it in my little earbuds here, and we'll be all synced up. Some other things you might want to have, especially for the end of our practice, are a pillow. So I'm sitting on one right now. You might want to sit on one at the beginning of your practice during our initial centering. And then towards the end of the practice, you might choose to put it under your head for a final relaxation phase. And you might also want a blanket if you tend to get chilly or you're in a chilly space. And finally, you might want to have an eye pillow. It's sort of nice to just have one to block out any light and help you get into that final relaxation. If you have hip or knee issues, you might want to use some yoga blocks if you have any. They look like this, little foam blocks. If you don't have any, that's okay, don't worry about it. You can always use some textbooks, a Kleenex box or two, or some toilet paper rolls, just to give you a little bit of extra height and support in some of the poses. So I'll instruct on how to use those when we get to that point. But don't panic if you don't have anything, any yoga blocks. Just use what you have around the house. It'll be okay. I recommend that you do that. Okay, so I'm going to hit play on my playlist here, and I recommend that you do the same. Okay. So coming into a seated position, you don't have to have your legs crossed. You can have them out straight, or if you want, you can be sitting in a chair. Just in a relaxed position. Straightening up through the spine, pulling the shoulders down and back, away from the ears. Closing down through the eyes, perhaps. Just coming into the present moment, here and now. Know where to go. Nothing to do. Just being here. Just being. Now, I'd like you to set an intention for this practice. And that's something we'll be doing in a lot of my classes here at YogaNaraska. Setting an intention to carry through the practice and through the rest of your day. If you have one of your own that you're working with, you're welcome to use that. And if you need some help, you might choose, I am here for me. I am here for me. Taking a deep breath now, and out. Breathing in that intention. Placing it in your mind and heart like a seed. I am here for me. Breathing in all that self-love and goodness. Be proud of yourself for showing up today, showing up for yourself. Bringing your attention to the breath now. Noticing the cool air coming in through the nostrils. Warm air coming out. Placing a hand on the chest. Feeling it rise when you inhale. Sink on the exhale. Filling the upper lungs with fresh, clean air. You might place a hand on the ribs. Deepening the breath now. Feeling the spaces between the ribs expand and contract. Bringing more and more air to the lungs. First filling the upper chamber, the lower chamber. And then finally we'll place both hands on the belly. Aiming to fill the belly with the breath now. Taking the biggest breath that you've taken all day. And sigh out through the mouth. A couple more of these now at your own pace. Feeling the belly rise and fall against your fingers. Connecting with that life force. And returning the breath back to normal. We'll bring the shoulders up to the ears. On an inhale, exhale, let them drop. We'll roll them up and towards the ears. And back down on the exhale. Making small circles. We might begin with the right shoulder now. Moving with the breath. And the right. The left. Whichever one you didn't do. And we'll reverse the circles, moving forward this time with the inhale. Dropping with the exhale. Isolating the left shoulder first this time. And the right. We'll turn the head to the right. Getting a nice stretch in the neck here. We'll roll the chin down and across the chest. Up to the left. Back down to the right. Exhaling. Inhaling at the top. Exhaling, we roll. Journeying back to the right. And gently, so we don't hurt the back of the neck, we'll lift the nose up, creating the other end of our circle here as we move the head to the left. We'll go full circle here, just gently, not wrenching the neck. Noticing how this feels. If you spend a lot of time texting or reading, it might feel good to stretch these muscles of the neck. And we'll reverse our direction here. Just connecting in. Making any last movements in the neck that might feel good. Take the hands to either side of the body now. And on an inhale, we'll bring them up and overhead. Take a slight back bend here, bringing the chin and nose up to the ceiling. Exhale, we'll bring the hands down to heart center. Hands out to the side once more. This time we'll take the right hand up and overhead on the inhale. Over to the left side. And open up the heart, look towards the ceiling. Nice stretch in the side body. And when you feel ready, exhaling back to center. Taking the left hand now on the inhale. Opening the heart. Filling those lungs with breath. Back down to center. Inhale the arms up and overhead. And this time we'll take the right hand to the left knee, coming into a twist. Turning to face the back of the room. Left hand comes behind you. Holding the twist for just a moment. Inhaling back to center. Exhaling, left hand comes to right knee. We twist out to the other side. Staying tall in the spine. Keeping the heart open. We'll come back to center on an inhale. Exhale, we're going to sweep the arms forward into a forward fold. Inhale to open. Opening the chest. Exhale to fold. Inhale to open. And this time, instead of a fold, we'll bring the arms across the body, giving yourself a nice hug. Inhale to open. Exhale, switch the hands to the other side. I'd just like to point out that the song on this playlist right now is by my good friend Moore of Beats by Moore and Moore Music. You can find a link to her Spotify playlist in our Spotify playlist below. Great yoga music, I just want to point it out. She's a good friend, and I'd really love if you could support her as well. So coming to the mat now, we can get rid of our pillow. We're coming into a tabletop position. So if you find this is difficult for your knees, you might, a little trick here, fold your mat over, creating a nice little thick surface for your knees. Same thing with your hands, if you like. We're looking for knees about hip distance apart, hands about shoulder distance apart. We're stacking knees under hips, and we're stacking wrists under elbows, under shoulders. Nice straight lines here. Spreading our weight through the fingertips. Nice neutral spine. Pressing down through the tops of the feet. On an inhale, we'll lift the nose, lift the tailbone, drop the belly. Cow pose. On an exhale, we'll start to round the tailbone under, drawing the navel towards the spine, the nose towards the mat. Pushing the shoulders down away from the ears. Cat pose. Moving with your breath here. Inhaling to cow. Exhaling to cat. Flowing through once more at your own pace here. Remembering to press down through the fingertips. And when we return to neutral, we'll take the head towards the right hip. And the right hip towards the head, creating a little stretch in the side body here. Exhale to center. Inhale to the left. Exhale to center. Inhale to right. Exhale to center. And one more time to the left. We'll come back to center. Now we'll start to make small circles, moving forward and back with the body here. Just waking up our muscles, the arms, the legs, middle body. Might choose to go one direction and then the other. Always moving with the breath, always moving with intention. And now we'll bring the hips just a little bit further apart, toes together. And we'll begin to sink the hips back and down towards the feet. I'm going to be coming into child's pose here. So if you find that you don't have enough space here, if it's not comfortable for you, you might take a blanket or two and place it right in between the legs. And we'll stretch out through the front body. Child's pose. Now, if you're finding that you're having issues with your hands, now is a good time to maybe roll at the wrists. Perhaps stretch them out. As we'll be coming into down dog, so we'll be doing a lot more work on our hands here. So this is a good time for you to stretch them out. And if you find that you're having some issues in down dog with your wrists, or if your legs are getting tired, this is a great position to come back to. This is our rest position here. Again, drawing the shoulder blades back and away from the ears. Nice deep stretch. And when you're ready, we'll come back up to our tabletop pose. Again, spreading weight throughout the fingertips. Stacking wrists under elbows, under shoulders, knees under hips. We'll take the right hand and we'll lift it up and forward. And then we'll take the left leg, lifting it and extending it to the back of the room. Looking for a long line from the middle finger to the last toes. You might flex and point the foot. And on an exhale, we'll bring elbow to knee, bringing everything together. Coming back down to the mat. We'll take the left hand this time, bring it forward at the same time, lifting the left leg, looking for that straight line, looking forward, energetically stretching to opposite sides of the mat, and exhale, elbow to knee. Coming back down to the mat, taking a break here. Good work. So we'll come back to our child's pose now, but what we'll do is we'll tuck the toes under. So toes are touching the floor here. We'll take the hips just a little bit further apart than hip width, or the knees, knees a little bit further than hip width apart. And we'll begin to sink the body backwards into our child's pose. We'll be feeling a nice stretch through the bottom of the feet here. Not too deep. If it's not comfortable, then just keep them back in your normal position. And slowly walking the hands out into our child's pose. Feeling that stretch in the fascia of the foot. Giving our feet some love. They do so much for us. It's time we give them some love. Again, rolling through the wrists if that feels good. We'll come back to our tabletop position and we'll keep those toes tucked under. Bringing the hips in just a little, or the knees in just a little bit. And on an inhale, We'll press up, pulling energy up from the earth. We'll begin to hover those knees just a little bit. Creating a little bit of energy in the body here. Hold it for just a moment. You got this. Exhale, knees come back down to the earth. You might roll up the feet a little bit here. Just preparing for our down dog. One step at a time. Again, curling toes under. On an inhale, hovering those knees, pressing down through the fingertips. Keeping the neck and the back neutral. Exhale, drop the knees back down. Untap the toes. Return back to child's pose. Okay, when you feel ready, we'll come back up to our tabletop position here. Again, hands under wrists, wrists under elbows, elbows under shoulders. We'll prepare for our down dog here, so we'll tuck the toes under. This time, instead of hovering our back end, we're going to send the hips backwards and up towards the sky. So slowly with intention, take a deep breath in. Send the hips skyward. Now we don't need to aim for our feet to touch the floor here. We can keep a nice slight bend in the knees, so don't feel like you need to lock them. Same with the arms, keep a nice slight bend in both. And aim here to create a nice straight line from the crown of the head to the tailbone. So we're focusing more on our back here than our legs or our arms. They're just supporting us, but we're looking for straight back here. You might take a minute to pedal the legs out, dropping one heel at a time. We call this walking the dog. Making sure that our shoulders are pushing down and away from the ears. Elbows are slightly turned out. Just finding some space here. When you feel ready, we'll bring the body forward a little bit so our shoulders are back over the wrists. Dropping the knees down, moving with intention. Back to the mat. We'll untap the toes, send the hips back down to child's pose. Nicely done. Take a little break here to roll out your wrists. You might choose to come up a little bit, tucking those toes under again if it feels good. And interlacing the fingertips, we'll press them out and away from the body. Nice stretch for the hands here. Nice stretch for the feet. You might, on an inhale, bring them up and overhead. And an exhale, we'll forward fold back down to the mat. Okay, so from here we'll be coming back up into our down dog. So we'll tuck the toes under. Remember spreading out our weight through the fingertips, clawing down through the fingertips. We'll send the hips up and skyward, keeping a gentle bend in the knees. Gentle bend in the arms here. Straightening out through the spine. Our heels don't have to touch the floor here, remember. They certainly don't for me. I probably could, but it would hurt, and I prefer to be comfortable. So we'll just take a minute here to get settled, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Maybe walking the dog a little bit, bending one leg and then the other. Sending those hips skyward, tailbone pointing to the ceiling. Neutral neck here, neutral spine. Imagine one long line from your tailbone to the crown of your head. And on an inhale here, we're going to come up on the tippy toes. We're going to round through the spine just like our cat stretch.
Moving the body forward so the shoulders are stacked over our wrists in plank pose here. So you might have to scoot your feet back if you're like me and you have nice long legs. We're looking for one long line still through the spine from the tip of the crown of the head all the way down through the toes. And on exhale, we'll bend the knees, dropping them down to the mat. So untucking the toes, extending back into our child's pose. Taking a rest here. You might roll out the wrists. If that feels comfortable. Now we'll bring a bit more energy into our practice now. So take one last deep, relaxing breath here before we really move into our energetic practice. If you're struggling, remember your intention. I am here for me. I am here for me. Now inhaling, coming up, tucking the toes under, sending those hips skyward. I'm going to come a little bit more to the middle of the mat for you there. Downward facing dog. Now we'll be coming to the front of the mat here. So you can hop if you feel comfortable. If not, you can walk the feet forward towards the hands, coming into a forward fold. So gentle bend in the knees again. We don't ever want to lock our joints here. Gentle bend in the knees, letting the upper body fall heavy. Nice and strong through the feet here. Back turn here to face the long side of the mat so you can see me better. And in a minute on an inhale, we're going to sweep the arms up and overhead, lifting vertebrae by vertebrae up. Ready? Inhale, we'll go up. Taking a slight back bend here. Arms down to heart center. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, we'll swan dive forward. Taking your time. Taking a moment here in your forward folds. We'll inhale, halfway lift, keeping the back flat as almost if you could sit a teacup on it. Exhale to fold. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Moving with intention. Moving with the breath. At your own pace now. Don't forget that halfway lift between the fold and the rise. Moving with your own breath. Connecting mind and body. We're going to loosen up here, so keep the feet a little bit about hip width apart. The shoulders hang down, lose all that tension. And we'll do something called empty coat sleeves here. So we'll start to twist the body from side to side and just let the arms kind of flop around. Getting a nice stretch in the back. Just like you did when you were a kid on the playground.
Now we'll return to center. Bring the hands and the hips. We'll start to make little circles here with the hips. Just creating some movement here. Might need to bend the knees a little bit. Changing directions. We'll take the legs out a little bit. So the trick here is if you put your arms out straight in a T, we want our feet to be almost under the wrists. So we're stretching our feet out a little bit, and the toes are going to be pointing at the corners of your mat. So look down at your toes and make sure they're pointing at the corners of the mat here. Again, gentle bend of the knees. We don't want to lock them. Come to our four-pointed star here. And again, with intention here, you might need to use your blocks. We'll see. You can bring them over here if you like. Bringing the hands to the hips or reaching out in front of you, we'll begin to forward fold here. So keep the back straight if you can, moving with intention. Gentle bend in the knees. We'll come down to our forward fold. So if you find this difficult, you can use your blocks or something similar for support. If not, just let the body hang. We'll plant the right hand on the floor if you can reach it, or in a block. You can use them in different facets, sort of whatever works best for you. We'll plant the right hand, and we'll bring the left up to the ceiling, turning to the left, opening through the heart, looking up towards the ceiling. Take a couple breaths here, noticing if you feel any sensation in the right leg. Exhale, bringing your arm back to center. We'll plant the left arm now, opening up through the right. Couple breaths here, noticing if there's any sensation in the right leg now. And returning back to center. Now we'll put the blocks aside, or you can use them if you need a bit of support to get lifted here. Again, moving with intention, bringing the navel towards the spine. We'll start to lift up. Bringing the hips forward, and we'll heel to those feet back together. Coming into mountain pose. So here we'll have our hips under the knees. You might need to roll back and forth so you kind of find a stable position, really finding that rooted groundedness in the feet, really connecting with the floor. Shoulders down and away from the ears, straight spine, lifting the chin ever so slightly. This may just look like you're standing in a room, but it actually takes quite a lot of intention and energy to keep the body in an upright position. Now we'll shift the weight ever so slightly into the right leg, keeping a gentle bend. Shifting just a little bit to the right, maybe coming up on the tiptoes of the left leg. We'll take the left heel, tuck it in against the right leg. Coming into our tree pose here. So we're looking for balance here. If you find that you're swaying a little bit, try to find something on the ground just a little bit ahead of you. We'll call that your drishti, your point of focus, and just stare right at it. You could also bring your fingers to the belly. And if you feel like you need a little bit more challenge here, you could slide that foot up the calf just ever so slightly. Looking to pull the left knee back a little bit towards the back of the room. You might lift the arms up overhead for a bit of challenge here. And if you're looking for even more challenge, taking care not to press on the knee joint at all. So we're going either below the knee or on the thigh here, above the knee. We're not putting any extra pressure on that joint. Coming into our tree pose. But if you still have your foot on the ground, that's okay too. Working to all abilities here. Shoulders down and away from the ears. If you're swaying a little bit, that's okay. We sway like trees. Always just finding your center here. You are here for you, and I'm here for you too. When you feel like you've had enough there, you might shake out that leg. Bring the arms back down. Get re-grounded in our mountain pose here. Shifting the weight now into the left foot. Bringing the right up. Finding our center, our point of balance. Perhaps moving up to our next level here. And again, perhaps one level further. Not putting any weight on the knee joint. Again, pushing that right knee towards the back of the room. Opening up through the hips. Imagine you had two headlights on your hips. Facing forward onto the wall in front of you. Beautiful. And when you're ready, coming back to our point of balance, you might shake out the legs. So rocking forward and back a little bit, just finding our center once more. Maybe stretching out through the fascia of the feet here. We'll swing the arms back, up and overhead, and I'll go from the side so you can see a little bit better. Swing the arms back and then up overhead. We'll sink the bottom backwards and down towards the mat, but we're keeping a straight shin here. So we're not letting the knees come out over the toes, because that's dangerous. We're keeping the knees exactly over the ankles. We're just sending the back of the body back into our chair pose here. So looking for a nice straight line in the spine. It's a bit of a challenging pose. Sending our weight into a little bit more of the heel here. If we need a little break, we can inhale, bring the arms down. Okay, we'll come to facing the long side of our mat once more. And we'll be returning to our sun breaths. So they were the same ones we were doing before, but we're going to be doing them backwards this time. So finding your center on all four corners of the feet. Rocking back and forth. Just finding a centered position here in our mountain pose. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. So we'll begin our transition back towards the mat. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Slight back bend. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, we swan dive back down to the mat. Slight bend at the knees here.
Taking a minute here just to feel heavy, solid in the lower body, heavy and relaxed in the upper body. You might shake the head no or yes. Just loosening up. Inhale to that halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, arms and up and overhead.
Exhale to heart center. You're a perfect 10. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale to fold.
Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Okay, so we'll take another quarter turn our mat here facing the long way. And we'll walk the arms out first. Getting a nice stable position in the hands here. Step the feet back out into our down dog. So experiment here with what feels better for you. Is it having the feet a little bit closer to the hands or a bit further away? See if you can just experiment here. And remember, we're looking for a straight spine, so a little bit of more room might be good. And again, really don't worry about those heels. Getting used to being in our downward facing dog here. Walking at the dog. Lifting the right foot up into our three-legged dog. Maybe rolling out the ankle a little bit. Exhale, we're working with the core here. Let's see if we can bring that right knee, to our left elbow. Coming forward a bit. Good, okay, back to our downward dog here. Walking at the feet. Left foot up this time into our three-legged dog. Keeping strong through that right leg. Exhale, bending the knee, tightening the core, pulling the navel to the spine. Take the left knee to right elbow, coming forward over the shoulders, over wrists. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Excellent. Taking a little rest.
So we'll be coming into some lunges here. That might be difficult for some of you with knee issues, so I'll give a couple different modifications for you. So why don't we all start in table position for now. Remembering stacking all of our joints here and the arms and the legs. And bringing the navel towards the spine and moving with intention here, we're going to bring the right leg up in between the hands. So if you need to take a couple steps here to do that, that's okay. Or if you need a little bit more room in the body, you might use your blocks here to support you and bringing that right leg up in between the hands. So I'll move the block here so you can see my foot a little bit better. We're making sure that the knee is stacked over the ankle joint and not over the toe. So we're not bending forward too much. We're keeping a nice straight bend here. And if you feel like you need a little bit more stretch in the back leg, you could snake it back just a little bit. Keeping the hips square to the front of the mat. And if you want a little bit of an extra stretch here, you can tuck the toes under and lift that knee up. So we're using either our hands, tented or flat, or on blocks to support the upper body here. And we're opening that heart, dropping the shoulders, looking towards the front of the mat. Notice if you feel any sensation here in the left hip. And we'll drop the knee back to the mat here, untuck the toes. And we'll start to shift the body backwards. Lifting the toes off the front of the mat. Bringing the arms back a little bit, or the hands back a bit. You might bring your blocks with you. Coming into pyramid pose. Noticing whether you feel the sensation in the right leg there. And rocking back forward into our lunge. So moving with intention again, we'll take that right leg, slide it back to our tabletop position. You might want to roll out the hands real quick. And this time we'll be moving the left leg. So we'll bring the left leg up in between the hands. Again, making sure not to keep the knee, or keeping the knee over the ankle, not over the toes. So making sure it's a nice straight perpendicular leg here. Perhaps making a little bit more stretch in the back leg here. And again, one more level, tucking the toes under, straightening that leg. Opening through the front body, dropping the shoulders, runner's lunge. Dropping the knee to the floor. On exhale, we'll sink the body back, bringing your blocks with you, or just tenting your fingers on the floor. Bringing the toes up into our pyramid pose. Noticing if the sensation is any different on the left side of the body here. And slowly with intention moving back forward and bringing the
left leg back. Coming into our table position one more time. Okay, so we're in our cool down phase of the class now, so you can relax. We'll come to the middle of the mat in a seated position. And we'll bring the soles of the feet together. You might have to rock back and forth on those sits bones, find a comfy spot, maybe moving the flesh of your beautiful booty to really connect down with the ground. And we'll start here by just giving your feet a little massage. A little bit of self-love here. And we'll start to take some concentric circles with the body here. Starting small, focusing in on the breath, maybe closing down through the eyes. Going bigger and bigger. And when you get to the biggest size of circle that you can make with your body, we'll come to center and we'll reverse directions. Now we're going from the biggest circle we can make, smaller and smaller. Coming back to your center, concentric circles. And when you get to center, taking a moment and expanding those circles out in the other direction once more. And as they get bigger, maybe rolling the shoulders down a little bit, exploring any sensations you feel here in the pelvic bowl. And again, reversing directions, back to smaller concentric circles. Until we reach our center point once more. So we'll be moving down to lying on the mat now. So if you have a pillow or a blanket, or you need to get one, now would be the time. You could pause the video and go get those. We won't be using them just yet, just have them nearby. So we'll come down to the mat. In any way that feels comfortable for you, mindfully. And stretching out. Now we want to connect the low back with the floor, and that usually takes me a little while just because I have a curvy back. So what we'll do to do that is we'll bring the knees up to the chest, and that should round out the bottom of the spine so it connects with the mat. You can roll up the ankles here, maybe roll side to side, forward and back. And we'll take the right leg and extend it out and straight onto the floor, toes up. Still holding onto the left leg here, pulling it into the body, flexing through the feet. This is called wind relieving pose, so if you relieve any wind, it's normal. And if it feels comfortable and available for you, you might drop it down to the side just a little bit. As far as feels comfortable, you could put a block underneath the knee if you like, coming into our fallen tree pose. Or if you want to stay here, that's fine too. We'll let the foot fall down to the mat, extending all the way out. And we'll bring the right leg in this time. Pulling it into the chest, flexing through both toes, both feet. Again, if it feels comfortable, dropping it out to the side into our fallen tree pose. Returning back to center, dropping the foot to the mat. We'll keep the right foot on the floor, just a couple inches away from your bottom. We'll bring the left leg up, turning into a figure four, so that the left leg, or the left foot is sitting on the right knee, creating a figure four here. So making sure the low back is connected with the ground. We can bring the hands on either side of the right thigh, and we'll begin to bring it in close to the chest. Flexing through both here, only moving as far as feels comfortable for you. Noticing any sensations in the right hip. Reclined figure four. Breathing. Dropping the foot down to the mat. We'll untangle ourselves, bringing the left foot to the floor. Right foot comes to left knee. Hands to the thigh, bringing the left knee closer to the chest here, flexing through both feet. Couple of breaths here, noticing if the sensation in the right hip feels any different. Dropping the left foot to the floor and untangling ourselves. We'll send the right leg out long here. Bring the arms to a T position on either side of the body. We're going to come into a twist, so we'll take the right knee. You might need a block here. It's up to you on either side of the body to support the knees. We'll take the left knee and we'll begin to drop it to the right side of the body, coming into a twist. So you might put your block underneath your knee to support it if that feels comfortable for you. We'll turn the head to face the opposite direction of your bent knee. So in this case, we're facing the left. Coming into a reclined twist. Wringing out the spine like a sponge. Holding here for however long feels good. If it's uncomfortable, you might just come back to Savasana or a little boat pose, knees to chest. Returning to center whenever it feels ready for you. Both legs out long. Then bringing the left knee to the inside of the right, or the left foot to the inside of the right knee. Nope, right knee to the inside of the left, but no. You know what I mean. Okay, so we'll take the right knee and drop it over to the left side of the body here. I'm going to use my little prop. Turning to face the right now. Wringing out the spine, wringing out any tension. And returning back to center whenever feels good for you. Taking any postures here that might feel comfortable before our final relaxation. Perhaps you might bring the soles of the feet together. Knees out, coming into a reclined cobbler's pose. You might support the knees with blocks. Or you might return to our boat pose once more. Rocking around, massaging the low back. Again, you might stay in cobbler's pose and explore the feelings in the inner thighs and the hips as we let gravity pull the tops of the knees towards the floor. You might lift the arms up and overhead, creating a nice long stretch in the body here. Maybe tense up all of the muscles, tense, tense, tense. And sigh to relax them all at once. Inhale to tense up. And exhale to release. Inhale one more time. Tensing, tensing. Exhale to release. Again, taking any final movements that feel comfortable. You might grab your blanket or a pillow, preparing for our final Savasana. Placing a pillow under the head. You might begin in Savasana here, or you might come into a fetal position. Whatever feels comfortable for you. Coming into your final relaxation position, whether that be flat on the back in Savasana or curled up in a fetal pose with a pillow and a blanket. Doing whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. Connecting in with the breath once more. Big, deep breath in. Big sigh out. Deep breath in. And a big sigh out. So in the spirit of self-love, let yourself sink into the mat now. Knowing that you have shown up for yourself today. That you are here for yourself, no matter what. That you always have your own back. And you have this deep power within you that you can tap into at any time. A deep sense of unshakable calm. Just sink into that knowledge. I am here for me.
Coming back to the body now, bringing your awareness to the breath once more. I'd like to share a quote with you before you awaken. Yoga is the acceptance of yourself. Go inside. Observe your thoughts without judging yourself. Feel sensations. Honor your emotions. Accept yourself in this moment and realize that you are enough. When you feel ready, returning to a seated position. Thank you so much for being here and participating in this practice today. I would really love if you could leave me a note in the comments letting me know how you enjoyed this practice, how it made you feel, if you had any challenges that you were working through, if there's any modifications that you need, or if you have any requests for future practices or playlist recommendations, because you know I love my playlists. I would really appreciate that. You can find me on social media at YogaNaraska. And if you'd like to join up to my YogaNaraska community newsletter, a monthly newsletter with a free yoga practice once a month, I'll leave a link to this in the description below. Thanks so much for being here. So excited to be on this journey with you. Take a deep breath in together. Namaste, my friends. So in the spirit of self-love, let yourself sink into the mat now. Basking in the absolute pleasure of the here and now.